So tell us about your experience and how you got into becoming a teacher in high school and what do you do in high school teaching?
Okay, so I'm a science teacher. I teach physics and a bit of mathematics in senior high school currently. It's something I never anticipated would ever happen to me. I never thought I'd end up in a classroom. But after my national service, I had a chance, and I took it. And it's been an amazing 4-year experience as a science teacher in one of Ghana's prestigious senior high schools in Dansoman. And I can say I've learned so much and still learning.
Jacob has a way to embellish things, but the truth is that, Jacob, this is not a prestigious senior high school. This is a senior high school that's in a community that is struggling, that has a high rate of, truancy, and students that do not see the need for education. How are you really able to motivate your students to really see the possibilities there?
Okay, so as a young person growing up, I had the chance to go to quite good schools. So we have the school I attended, studious and assiduous with academic work. But in my school, where I find myself, students are not really enthused about academic work. Teachers or administration is not really perturbed about what becomes of the students. And as a teacher, you want to make a change, you want to make an impact in the life of these young people. And you do all your best, you attend classes, you give notes, you give exercises, you even sponsor lunch for them sometimes, just to make sure that they at least do something better with what you are teaching them. And it's so difficult sometimes, and you ask yourself, is it only this environment, or is it something all over Africa or all over Ghana? A place where people are not really passionate about learning, and we give our all to them and they don't see the essence of our sacrifice. And it's something that I'm still working on and hoping that it will change. But it's quite difficult where I am. Very, very difficult.
So what do you think the problem stems from?
I think the problem stems from the history. I think for many years since the school was established, there's not been a solid scientific system or academic system that challenges students to go beyond the normal. It's more like where I am, everything is so lackadaisical, complacency. We are okay with where we are. We don't need to strive harder. We don't need to work harder. We are okay with where we are, and everybody's relaxed. When you are trying to do or go the extra mile, you are branded as the guy who wants to prove himself better than the older people. Older staff are there, they don't care. I would like to say this on podcast. Most of the staff interested in making money, not interested in impacting the young ones. So they come in, it's all about the money they will make. It's not about the transformation they'll give to the students. And for us young ones who want to change this narrative, when we try, we become the evil people, or we are branded as too known, we are branded as we think we know more than the old people. And it's something that's killing most public work or public sector. Most public sectors are just dry and extant. They are just they are not doing anything. And if Ghana will change for the better, and I'm so excited for the Change African podcast, we need to restructure our human resources, because many people in the government sector, they are not doing any serious work. They are just there lazing about and just chatting. They wait their whole 8 hours at work and go home. Because I've been in the field for 4 years, so I'm talking from practical experience. And I don't care whoever would like to challenge it, because I have empirical evidence to substantiate my assertions. It's very bad. And Ghana will not transform, Ghana will not move forward if we continue with this culture of public service. Many people are there doing nothing.
I've always said that public service in Ghana needs discipline, it needs a restructuring, but we need to bring professionalism and dignity to it, because it almost seems like when you get into public sector, and it's not a Ghanaian problem, so like we are in the Change Africa podcast and I want to make it a more African conversation, because there are people who've come on the podcast and have talked about how the decline and the decay of public service is at the center of the worsening of our democracies. Because even if there is a political party that comes in power, they're able to be there for over a period of time, but it's the institutions that are permanent, and the people in the institutions have to have a reshuffling of mindset, or we should reshuffle the people themselves so we can bring a younger generation, as we are saying, because we have a decadence in brain activity in public service, because we have unfortunately an older generation that is not willing to embrace the creativity and innovation of the younger generation, and sometimes that unfortunately affects the pace of innovation and progress, And that is a sad story because high school is a very fundamental part, like a pivotal part in the transformation of the people, especially because it's the foothold into the tertiary education. But what do you think can be done to really solve the problem of secondary education in Ghana? But before that, maybe you want to talk about, there's a Ghana policy called free education that has been heavily debated. From your perspective, before you talk about what can be done to solve some of the problems you've talked about, how good or bad is free education in Ghana, this very controversial, very highly debated policy, as a practical teacher?
Okay, so as a practical teacher, a professional teacher, to be more precise, well, I've been teaching for 4 years. I'll say free education has its pros and cons. Free education is good for the one who, in times, passionate about learning and becoming someone in the future, but it's limited by resources. There's no money in the house. For such a person, free education is a big blessing to the person. On the other side, we have other students who are not passionate about literacy, like books, solving math and reading. Theirs is more of TVET, technology, and hands-on kind of schooling, education. And all these people are pushed into the senior high schools, with some have very bad grades from junior high schools, and they are pushed into the senior high schools to learn the same courses like others who are passionate. So mostly for the school that I am, we don't have so many students from the GHS who are very high intellectually. Many of them are low intellectually, so they come in and influence the other ones. So the issue with free education, with regards to where I am, is that we don't get the best. Most of them are not students who are supposed to be in senior high school. Most of them should be in vocational and technical schools, because that's where their strength, that's where their creativity will aid them to do great exploits. But because of the free education, they all come in, they all learning core maths, all learning chemistry. And if you can't learn simple chemistry, then I don't know what you'll be able to learn in life. Some of these students, their passion is tech and vocational school, and that's where they should be. So with the free education, I feel it will be good if the person is passionate and a very intelligent student. But for the non-intelligent student, they should be given the option of going to the vocational school or the technical school.
Well, I guess you say non-intelligent, you mean that non-intelligent in the traditional way, right? That they may want to veer into more academic fields. But these are students who are not necessarily dumb. It's just that they are not suited for the high school education as it is, right?
Yeah, very true. So we have students coming with 30, 35, and you want to do elective maths with 30, you want to do chemistry with 45, you want to do biology with 37, is a burden on the teachers. So that's the plight that we are facing. With where I am and other grade C schools, it's a common challenge. Some of the students are not suited for certain topics and subjects, but since the free education has made it so, they all come in. So again, let's go to the question I was asking. Now first, to the questions I asked about the problems previously you discussed, but now also with free education. Can you bundle it together as in how we can look to transforming high school education in Ghana? Okay, so the first point I'll state is there should be a reshuffling of our curricula. The curricula we use is something that have been all over the place, mostly 80% theory, 20% practicals. If you can change, make it the opposite, 20% theory, or 50% theory, 50% practical, I think it will equip people with practical skills. Even after high school, they can build businesses and do more. Secondly, the administrative structure of most high schools. Sometimes there's a struggle because the administrative is made up of old staff. And for old people, they care less. Mostly their care is for their wives and children. So when the younger staffs come in and want to bring change, it becomes a hurdle, it becomes contentions. I believe after every 20 years or after every 15 or 12 years, a staff should be reposted to a different station. And where I am, people have taught in the school for up to like 20 years, 22 years, and they are still in the school teaching. And for such a space, the person is relaxed because he always teaches things that are comfortable with him. He doesn't want to explore other things. He's not contemporary with the new curricula that's coming out. All that he knows is the things that he knows already. And since it's a senior person or someone who has gathered experience, we allow the person to do what he does, because we believe in Africa that old age is experience. So far as someone is old, is experience, which is a pathetic fib. Old age is not a requisite for experience. So we need to recycle our human resources, the public system. We need younger and fresh blood to come in. Many old teachers are too much in the system. They need to be transferred. And finally, there should be constant training programs to upgrade the pedagogy skills of most teachers. In the government sector, I don't remember the last time we had a training program for teachers. We don't have training programs. So the old traditional way of teaching is all that we've been using. Recently, there was a free laptop distribution so that it will equip teachers with ICT skills. You come and see most of the teachers struggling because most of them don't have basic IT skills. And the world is moving towards digital, and most of them don't have. So how can they transfer it to these young ones? So that's something that's also needful. Consistent training program, digital training program for teachers, because that's where the world is moving towards. And these are some of the things I think can help transform our education.
And on the free education and the problems you highlighted, how do you think we can make sure that we can create a better, more equitable education for the less needy but brilliant, but also reduce the burden on government spending?
Great. So one thing my mom says that the president has done great, but it's like the free education has actually absorbed so much human resources in the country, so that we are now going to IMF. I feel there are some families who are capable of securing their wards' school fees, and such people should be given opportunity to pay for their wards' fees. It's good for the ones who can pay. For them, the free education is classic for them. But for those who can actually afford education, families from good homes, they should be allowed to make a contribution. And also, with regards to the technicalities, not all students should be given the opportunity to just enroll in any course. Students should be tested and analyzed in the first year to get to know their best skill set, their strength. If someone is good with academia, he should be allowed to do the normal academic stream courses. If another person is good with technical and vocational, that person should be taken to the technical and vocational school, because in the end, it's all about gathering the necessary skills for nation building. It's not just about going through a system where you finish school and you can't do anything, you're just in the house. So that's something that I would like to propose with regards to the free education and how restructuring it can actually increase the proficiency of our human resource as a country.
I think those are some brilliant contributions, Jacob. But Jacob, as we venture into the last end of the conversation, let's talk about the next step for you, Jacob Osae. What should you expect from Jacob?
Well, Change Our Record podcast. So I've been working a lot. Yeah, just like 2020, The Raven came out. I was supposed to do something this year, 2022. But looking at the conditionalities with COVID and my schedule as a tutor, currently preparing my final year students for exams. So I've not had ample time to do more writing, but I've been working behind the scenes. So we look forward to next year bringing out a trilogy of sci-fi, still in the sci-fi business, exploring the possibilities of African sci-fi and Afrofuturism. So next year, let's look up 3 novels, all on science fiction.
And if someone is listening to Jacob and is so, excited about your passion, and they wanted to help you, what is your pitch to them? Like, give me 1 minute to pitch to anybody who's listening. It's like, this Jacob guy has a vision for African writing, for Afrofuturism, for African sci-fi, for rethinking fantasy. What would you say to them?
So basically, what I would say is that I discovered that what I'm trying to afford or give to Africa is needful. As an educator, most of our students need science fiction novels, they need science fiction stories, they need animated movies just to augment their creative thinking and innovative, potentials. And that's what I seek to do with Creative Brilliance Afroverse and telling science fiction stories. So I am welcoming or open up to anyone who believes this is a good venture, this is a good thing to do, for any support, sponsorships and partnerships to make CBA a reality, and also to make African science fiction and fantasy storytelling something practical and more, conversant with most of our literacy spaces that we have here in Ghana.
So if anyone wants to buy The Raven, where can they get it to buy?
Great. So currently The Raven is available on booknook.store, available on Goodreads, also available on Amazon. So you can have a copy on Amazon, and you can just Google The Raven, and hopefully if you follow me, Jacob Osae, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, send me a message. You can also make a personal delivery if you are here in Ghana. If you're outside Ghana, Amazon is also, you know, cool for you. You can make a purchase on Amazon.
So I'll put a link in the description for The Raven and for the amazing work that Jacob has done. But time is not going to permit us to talk about a lot of things. But Jacob is an award-winning publisher because he has been part of poetry collections that have, you know, been awarded and other things. Can you briefly talk about your other writing apart from science fiction? Because that's what this conversation has talked about, like your poetry and other things, that short stories that have, you know, gotten some commendation.
Okay, so earlier this month, 1st of July, there was an anthology launch titled Voices That Sing Behind the Veil, an anthology of short African stories from Africa and the diaspora, edited by Ivor Ajimandia, and a section of my story was selected and published together with amazing writers all over Africa, and that was something amazing for this year. And people can check out that one, Voices That Sing Behind the Veil, an anthology of short stories from Africa and the diaspora, which includes my story, Jacob Osae. The story is titled The Kingdom of Mahara, actually taken from The Raven. And we also had the chance to be interviewed by Writers of the Future. Writers of the Future is the main American sci-fi organization, and that was inspired by L. Ron Hubbard. He was one of the great pioneers of science fiction in America, and through his creative, you know, innovation, he was able to create this award system that awards writers all over the world who always submit short sci-fi stories every year. Then also in 2019, my short story Iron Boy was captured in Larabanga short story by Amata Eidu. If you're African or Ghanaian, you know Amata Eidu, one of the mothers of literature in Ghana. And yeah, so that's a few of some of our accomplishments, and we look forward to greater things in the years to come.
Jacob Osae is an author, writer, he's a thinker, he's an Afrofuturist. He's creating the creative brilliance Afroverse, and he wants to retell African story through science fiction, fantasy, and technology. And he has been our guest on the Change Africa podcast, exploring how we can use that creativity and the strength of our storytelling beyond the normal stories we tell to venture into things that explore the possibilities of African future to inspire the next generation. It's been an amazing time with Jacob, and thank you very much for coming to the Change Africa podcast.
Thank you very much, Isaac, too, for having me, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I look forward to greater conversations in the future.
Great.